Guys, and please confirm to me. All of you are getting my voice on the screen. Those are attending in online. Please confirm to me, guys. All of you are getting my voice on the screen. Please check it. All of you are getting my voice on the screen. Right. Thank you. All right. Good morning, guys. And check it. What we completed there in the last session. I think so. In the last class, we struck at one point. We are discussing about steps to prepare first application. In that steps to prepare first application, almost all we complete everything. But whenever we are taking XML file, there we structure there. Actually, that is not our problem. There's IDE problem only. But later on, what I have done, just I close the IDE. Once again, I open the IDE. I restarted IDE. Then it is working fine. Then it is working fine. Then don't worry for it. Once again, I will show the total part here. Now, in a cool, we are able to understand this point here. Now, see, up to IDE preparation, that means how to download an IDE and how to install that IDE, you are not having any problem. You can open that Eclipse IDE. Am I right? Guys, you only tell me, am I right? At least if you give response, then it's okay for me. Right, sir. Then after that, how to download Spring Framework. That one also be I shown there. But anyway, if you want to see once again there, then from where we have to get this Spring Framework related jars now. I'll get that information. Just Google it. Then inside this, just I'm telling to you, Spring 5 downloads repo. Better to use that word is like what there repo. If we use that word in the repo, then we are able to get repo.spring.io. What's that location there? Repo.spring.io. All right, sir. Then open in new tab. There we are able to get JFrog kind of thing. There is one of the tool actually. DevOps also be the JFrog we are going to use. Okay. Then here what we are able to get from this, right? Artifactory is available at right side. It's a black screen. No, you can understand it. Where artifacts are available. Click on these artifacts. There we are able to get number of artifacts. There, what we have to see there, libs release part we have to open. If you open that libs release part there we are able to get one link URL to file https:// repo.spring.io artifactory libs release. Click on this. Another window will be open. There we are able to get like what now? The links we are able to get to download the respective jars. Then where we are getting links. Now tell me inside this what we have to open there inside this now. If we open this now, here we have to go for org we have to open there, right? If we click on this org, here we are able to have number of technologies. There we have to open like what there Spring Framework. Click on this Spring Framework. There we have to go for like what there Spring Up. In somewhere else we are able to see like what there Spring Up. Here we are getting that Spring Up. Click on this Spring Up. If we click on this Spring now, then what next one here? Then where versions are existed here? Which version here we require now? Directly latest version we can use. What is that latest version here now? 5.3.9 is existed here. Just we can click on 5.3.9. If we click on it, automatically we are able to get what there Guys, are you getting my voice now? All of you are getting my voice on screen? Guys, please, are you getting my voice on screen? Please confirm to me. Just now my system got restarted. Yeah, just now my system got restarted. Don't worry. Then class is going on now. Yeah, just restarted. My system was restarted. Okay, don't worry. Right, sir. Then where we are actually, then we need to go for like what there. I want to show how to download the jar files. Okay? So that here we have to go for like what now? Spring 5 downloads a repo. If you observe this repo, then here we are able to get like what there? No. Spring 5 downloads repo. Then here we are able to get this spring.io projects, not this repo. Yeah, JFrog, that part here we need to open there. When we open this now, then what we have to do there? Then we have to go for artifactory. Then where artifacts we have to select. Okay. Now here, what I'm telling there, artifactory, artifacts. If we find no, if we click on this artifacts, here we are able to get like what there. Lips release. Here we have to click there. In that we are able to get like what now? An URL here we are able to get. Click on this URL. There we are able to get the total part. Right, so to run XML file, not required to download any other tool. Just open in browser, that's sufficient. Here we have to click on org. The next one is like what, the Spring framework. And then after that, Spring. Then here version information, here we have to click now. If you provide 5.3.9, then 5. Spring 5.3.9 hyphen dist.zip. Dist.zip, if we click there, then automatically it's going to be downloaded. Already we downloaded that. Apart from this, what we need to download there, along with all the Spring jar files, what we have to download there, commons-logging also here we have to download. So here we have to go for like what there, commons-logging also here we have to download. Commons-logging jar download. See, directly from Apache you can get it. Directly from Apache we are able to get it. If you open it, there we can get this Apache directly. Download page here we are getting there. Here we have to go for it. Now here, Commons Apache, Commons logging 1.2 bin.zip here we have to click. If we click on it, it's also be downloading. Two jar files here we have to download. That both the jar files are kept at a particular location in my system. At which location I kept both of them in my system there. Show in folders. Okay, still that Spring is downloading. Right, sir. Show in folders. Now, when that Spring is completed, downloading is completed, then we are able to get it. Almost all completing there. Anyway, already I copied that. From the downloads, just we have to copy both the files. Then I used to keep all my softwares under E drive. Under E drive and softwares location, I'm going to take. Inside the softwares locations frameworks, I provided a folder where Spring I provided, where I kept all of them. There I extracted all of them. Okay, fine. Now inside this commons-logging 1.2 .jar file is existed. Then apart from this, in Spring Framework 5.3.9. So many folders are available. We have to open lib folder. If you open lib folder, all the required jar files are existed here. Finally, I given count for all the jar files. Which jar files we required, guys? Now tell me what exactly the jar files here we required there. Commons hyphen logging, commons hyphen Spring Core, Spring Beans, Spring Context, Spring Expression, Spring Context support. These many jar files here we need. Only these many jar files only here we need to get. Apart from this, other jar files are not required. When we are moving to JDBC module, when we are moving to web module, when we are moving to some other module, depending on our requirement, we can get all the required jar files there now. Okay, jar files are also existed. Jar files are ready and IDE is ready. The remaining part is I have to prepare my program. Now let me open my Eclipse IDE. Let me prepare these applications through Eclipse IDE. There we are able to get some clarity. Yesterday I prepared one application. Anyway, once again I want to prepare another application here. Let us observe this clearly. Right, sir. D frameworks, Spring, Eclipse apps. Like this, I have given one location also. Workspace also I given there. Already aware about it. How to take this workspace in Eclipse IDE. Right, sir. No, just wait for it. Once you are getting it, then we are going to prepare an application here. Or else, then if any problems are coming with one workspace there, then better to create another new workspace. There we can get it, where we are able to see completely new, all setups are going to be provided as a fresh setups only. Then try to utilize another workspace there if you are expecting. Okay. All right. And then where is my right, sir? It is coming. Just wait for it. Only first time only it will take some time there. Once it is open, then we are able to get it. Yeah, it's okay, fine. This is last class application, guys. What we are getting now. Once again, I want to prepare some other application here. Now try to understand this clearly. ABB01. Anyway, I shown some output here, but once again, one more application I want to prepare. Now tell me what we have to do there. If you want to prepare this application here, what we have to do now? Just 1 minute, sir. For the sake of you, I want to increment this colors and fonts, tree and table for view, edit, and bold and some 14. That's okay. Okay, fine. Let's see this. I want to prepare another new project, new Java project. I'm going to take the project name. What I'm going to take there, ABB02. ABB02. I'm taking Java 17 version. I'm going to use there internally. Click on next button. Already Java 17 is available. Latest version of Eclipse IDE is required. 17 version here. Then better to install that 17 version. Already had that. Click on finish button. Right, sir. Module is not required. Don't create it. So okay, fine. Whenever we are getting ABB02, this is normal Java project. I want to make this project as what their Spring project. If you want to make this project as a Spring project, there what we have to do, we need to add all the Spring jar files. How to add these Spring jar files? No, right click on ABB02 here, then go for properties. In that properties, build path, Java build path. There we have to go for libraries, class path. Inside this, add external jars. Directly we can click on like what there, add external jars. Then here, all the Spring related jar files here, we have to go there. Where all my Spring related jars are available, then then softwares, inside this frameworks, inside this Spring, then where commons hyphen logging is required, select it first. Okay, again here, select a class path, add external jars, then go to the Spring, where Spring framework 5.3.9, where inside this lib, what I required here, Spring hyphen beans we require, Spring hyphen context we require, and Spring hyphen context support is required. Now Spring hyphen core is required, Spring hyphen expression is required. That's okay. These many jar files are required. Can you tell me, guys, what are the jar files we selected there? Spring hyphen beans, Spring hyphen context, Spring hyphen context hyphen support. Next one is Spring hyphen core, Spring hyphen expression. Only these jar files we required here. Overall, the required jar files we added. Next one is what there, apply and close. Now in the reference libraries, all the jar files here we are getting. Now this project is becoming as what now? Now this project is becoming as what they know is a Spring project. Previously Java project. Now it is a Spring project. Observe carefully. Next one is in a Spring project. If you want to prepare any application, three resources we have to prepare. One is a bean component for the sake of writing our logic. Second one is a configuration file, Spring configuration file, where we are going to configure all the beans and everything. Third one is like what there, test application. The test application can be used to activate the Spring container and getting data from configuration file, creating bean objects and assigning that bean object for us, giving that bean object to us in order to access the respective methods. Okay, now here my requirement is what? First of all, I want to create a bean component. Right click on SRC and the new. Here I'll go for package. What's that package here? We are going to provide there com dot Durgasoft dot app02 dot. Here we want to take like what there, beans. Beans is a package name. Com dot Durgasoft dot app02 dot beans. Click on finish button. Now this package is created. Inside this package, I want to create a bean. New, just I want to take a class. What's that bean here? We are going to take no. Say for example, any bean name here I want to take. Say for example, welcome bean. I want to take. My bean is what there? Welcome bean. Right, sir. Everything is okay. Now click on finish button. Inside this, I want to take like what there, a business method. How to prepare this bean component? I will give a set of rules and regulations later on. After completion of this example, I'll give a set of rules and regulations for bean components. How to provide that bean and how to prepare all. Everything I will discuss with you clearly. Now, first of all, let me check this public class welcome bean. Now inside this welcome bean, close. Well, inside this welcome bean, I want to take a method. What's that method here? Public string. Inside this welcome bean, just I want to say welcome. The method is like what there? Welcome is a method here I want to take. Public string welcome. Now here I'll provide like what they're written. Some data here I want to return. What's the data here I'm trying to return there? No, the data would be like what there? Welcome to Spring application. Some information I want to provide there. Welcome to Spring application. The details here I provided. Now let me save this. My bean is ready. When our bean is ready, then what we have to do there? I need to prepare bean configuration. Inside this bean configuration, we have to configure this bean component. Why? What is the requirement to configure this bean component actually? What is the need of this configuration of this bean component now? Right, sir. For that, I'm telling you clearly. Observe carefully. In general, in Java applications, if you want to call any method, say for example here, welcome is a method is existed here in a welcome bean. I want to call this method. If you want to call this welcome method, if you want to access this welcome method, first we have to create object for welcome bean class or not. Without creating object for welcome bean class, we are unable to access the method. Whenever we are having object reference value, then only we are able to access this method. If this method, that means if this reference is not available for this particular class, when object is not created for this particular class, there is no chance of calling this welcome method. So we are able to access this welcome method whenever we are having an object for the respective class. So we need an object. Okay. In general, in Java, yes, in Java, in core Java programs, no, who is creating object for this bean classes? No, developer is creating objects for bean classes. But what is the specialty of the Spring? You know, Spring is giving some flexibility for the developer. Which objects you require? Don't create them. Tell to the Spring framework. Spring framework will take the burden of creating objects. Spring framework will provide that objects to you. You should not take any responsibility to create the object. Just try to take the responsibility to get objects from the Spring framework. Internally, Spring framework will take the responsibility of creating object, your required objects, and it will provide that objects to your location. Then you can get them and you can use them. Get my point or not? Okay. Now here, if you want to create objects by the Spring framework, if you want to create objects for the bean classes by Spring framework, we have to configure or we have to provide these classes information to the Spring framework. How we are going to provide these classes details to the Spring framework? No, we are going to provide this bean classes information to Spring framework by preparing a configuration file. By preparing a Spring configuration file. Why? Because when we start Spring application execution, internally Spring container is available. IOC container is available. That container will come to the configuration file where it will search for the bean classes names. If any bean class name is configured, container will take that bean class name. It will search for the respective dot class file. Then it will load the class file. Then it able to create an object for the respective class. That object will be managed by this container. Okay, that is the job of the container. Then after getting that, whenever we are trying to get that bean object by using some methods, container will provide that bean object for our test application. In the test application, we can access it. So if you want to create bean objects by the container, if you want to create bean objects by the container inside our Spring applications, there we have to prepare one configuration file. Inside this configuration file, we have to configure all the bean classes. Then how to do this one here? How to prepare this configuration file now? Let's observe this clearly. Let's observe this clearly. How to configure this particular one? Observe carefully. Right, sir. To configure this, to provide configurations, here I need to prepare one XML file. Right click on SRC and new. I want to take a package. What is the package here? I'm going to take there com dot Durgasoft dot app02 dot config is a package name. Any package name we can take. Config is a package name. Inside this config package name, right click on this package, new. I have to go for others. Directly XML is not available in the list. No, others. They're searching for XML. If we search for XML, here we are able to get like what there XML file. Click on this XML file. Right, sir. Next button. Now here we are getting that. Previously we got what we got there, no .txt. Now we are getting it what, no XML. Even yesterday also, after completion of the clause, just I restarted IDE. Directly we got it. Might be in the first attempt, might be that plugins are not available, XML plugins now. Later on we got it anyway. Now here I need to provide the name of this file. What is the name of this file here? No, any name we can provide, but we have to give that name information to the respective container here. No. Now I want to give like what there, spring config dot XML. Spring config dot XML I want to provide. Click on next button. Now we are getting it. Create file from template. Okay. Next button. Click on finish button. That's it. Now XML file is created. Yes, sir. All of you get my point or not? XML file is created. Observe carefully. Now here we have to write like what there, bean configuration here we have to provide. But how we are able to provide bean configuration now? Right. Observe carefully. To provide bean configuration, here we have to use the tags bean stack. Here we have to use first. This is a root tag. Now here we need to provide some XSD. Bean stack and some XSD here we have to provide. From where we have to get that XSD and everything I will discuss with you. No need to remember any XSD. I will show you the process of getting that XSD. What is the purpose of this XSD? No? DTDs or XSDs, what is the purpose of them? To parse XML documents or to validate XML documents, we need like what their XSDs. That XSDs are providing environment to check whether that XML tags are valid or not. The data inside this XML tags are valid or not. As per the rules and regulations of XML, all the tags are provided or not. To check that kind of scenario, we need to go for XSDs. Previously DTDs we are using, but at present we are using what their XSDs now. Then I will show you how to use this. Now tell me, in our application, how many beans we are using there? How many beans we are using? Only one bean, that is welcome bean. Am I right or not? So here we need to configure that bean by using single bean tag. By using what? Single bean tag. Inside this single bean, two attributes here we have to use. What are the two attributes? No, one is ID attribute and other one is what there? Class attribute. ID attribute and class attribute. Of course, class attribute will take fully qualified name of the bean class. Class attribute will take fully qualified name of the bean class. ID attribute will take an unique identity for the bean. An unique identity value it will take for the bean. On the basis of that identity only, we are going to search for the bean object in the container. Container will come here. Container will recognize this bean tag. Container will create object for the bean. Container will maintain that bean object inside the container along with the provided logical name. But if we want to get that bean object in the test application, we have to use this logical name. We have to provide this identity. On the basis of this identity only, we are able to get the respective bean object. I will show in the flow of execution. Don't worry for it. Then here, this is the point here we can understand. Here we need to provide some ID. I want to provide like what there. Welcome bean is an ID I want to provide, but here fully qualified name I want to provide for the bean class. Com dot Durgasoft dot abb02 dot beans dot welcome bean that we want to prepare. That's it. Then container will take this one and container will create bean object. Container will maintain that bean object on the basis of this particular logical name. If we search for this bean object on the basis of this logical name, automatically the generated bean object will be provided by the respective container. This is the way we can understand now. But how we are able to get this XSD actually? How it is possible to get that XSD? I will show that information. Try to understand this now. Here, first of all, we require XSD. Right. For that, what I am telling to you, all of you put more concentration. Previously, Spring zip file we downloaded from internet or not? Where I kept that zip file there in E drive. In E drive, inside this E drive softwares, inside the softwares of frameworks, Spring. Here only I unzipped that Spring -3.5.3.9 distribution. We unzipped there. If you open that Spring framework folder, there we are getting docs. Previously libs is available. Inside the lib jar files are available. Now we have to go for what now? Docs. Inside these docs, reference we have to open. A reference part. If you open reference, HTML and PDF is available. Better to open HTML. Inside this HTML, number of HTML pages are available. Am I right or not? Number of HTML pages are available. Where we open core. HTML page here we are able to get core. If we go down, as an example, we are able to get some beans tags. Example bean here we are getting there. Am I right or not? Then where just we can copy up to this part. What is it actually? XSD. Up to that XSD we can copy, just copy this XSD and come to here, paste it. Then close that bean stack. Yes, sir. Got my point or not? From where we are getting this XSD, how I got this XSD? Once again, please confirm to me. From where we are getting this XSD, now tell me here. Once again, first of all, we have to go to the location where we saved that Spring zip file. Whatever the Spring zip file we downloaded from internet, E drive, softwares, frameworks, Spring framework. That folder we got when we unzip that respective Spring 5.3.9-dist. Open it. Now inside this which folder we have to open there? Docs. Open the docs. Where we have to go for what? No reference. Open the reference. Where we have to go for either of the things, no problem. But better to go for HTML. Inside this, what we have to open there? Core. If you open core, here we are able to get the Spring core documentation. Scroll down. Here we are getting the beans configuration. An example here. Now try to copy up to this bean stack. Only bean stack is sufficient. Not required to go for any other one. Copy this and try to keep this in our content. Now only bean stack here we copied there. Now we have to close this. Now here we are getting beans. That bean stack is a root tag. It able to include so many beans configuration. Not like one bean configuration. So many beans configuration here it able to provide. Now as per our requirement, one bean here I have to configure. How many beans here we have to configure there? Only one bean. How to configure that one bean here? Here we have to use like what there? Bean tag. Okay. Just only self-fill closing here I want to provide. ID is equal to welcome bean. ID is equal to what? Welcome bean. Class is equal to fully qualified name of the respective bean class here we have to provide. What is the fully qualified name of the respective bean class? No. First package name. What is this package name, sir? com.durgasoft.abb02.beans. That's a package name we have to provide. Dot. What is the class name here? No. Your class name is like what there? Welcome bean is a class name. Copy this. Here we have to provide welcome bean. This is the fully qualified name of the respective bean component. Both are provided here. No. So my Spring Bean configuration file here we completed. Right, sir. ID is equal to welcome bean, some ID name, and class is equal to bean, fully qualified name. Container will create welcome bean object. Container will keep that welcome bean object along with the name. What is that name? Welcome bean. If anybody else is searching for the welcome bean on the base of welcome bean ID, welcome bean identity, automatically the correct respective object of that welcome bean will be written. That we are going to check here. So my Spring configurations are completed. When this Spring configuration is completed, next we have to prepare application. Application here we have to prepare. How to prepare this application actually? Now here we need to go for step number 1. First create a container. Right, sir. First what we have to create there, container we have to create. How to create this container, guys? Now tell me. Application context, bean factory and application context, 2 containers are available. Bean factory is an outdated, not utilized at present, and it is providing basic services support. But application context is a newer one. It is providing very good support here. Now here application context is equal to, now get new class path XML application context. Right, sir. Then class path XML application context. Then we need to specify that bean configuration file or not. Where we specified that. Then where we specified this com slash, right, sir, com slash Durgasoft slash app02 slash, then what next one here? Com slash Durgasoft slash app02. And then after that, what next one again? Config slash spring config dot xml. So we have to create like what there? Container. When we create this container will perform reading the data from beans configuration file, creating beans objects and maintaining that beans object along with their logical names. Then after creating this container, we have to get bean object or not. To get this bean object here, what we have to do there? Welcome bean, well bean is equal to, typecasting is also required. Welcome bean context dot. Then what we have to provide there? Get bean method here we have to use. Inside this get bean method, we have to provide. What we have to provide there inside this get bean method? Logical name of the bean component. What is the logical name here we provided here? Welcome bean here we provided. Welcome bean is a logical name. On the basis of this logical name only, that bean component is existed here. So we are able to get bean object. Whenever we are getting bean object, now directly here we are able to specify like what there? Sysna dotted println of well bean dot welcome method here we are able to access. Sysna dotted println of well-being dot welcome method. Whenever we are getting well-being dot welcome method, definitely here we are able to get some output. There we are able to get the required output. Welcome message here we are able to get. That's the point here now. Okay. Right, sir. Now I want to prepare this test application now. How to prepare this test application here? Now this configuration is okay. Now let me prepare one more package. Right click on src and the new package. What is the package here I'm preparing there? Com dot Durgasoft dot app02 dot test. The package name is like what? The test. Right click on this and a new class I want to prepare. The class name is what? A test. Main method is required. Select main method. Then after that, click on finish button. Now here we are getting main class. Inside this main class, first we have to create a container. How we are able to prepare container there? Application context. Okay, context is equal to new class path XML application context. Then here we have to provide the name and location of the configuration file. Where is that name and location of the configuration file here? Com slash. It's not a package now. It's a folder now. XML is a file, not Java. If it is a Java class, we have to use fully qualified name. But it is not Java class. It is a file actually. So com slash Durgasoft slash, after this com slash Durgasoft slash abb02 slash, then what next one, config slash spring config.xml. Okay, observe carefully. Any mistakes are available here? Com slash Durgasoft slash abb02 slash config slash spring config.xml. That's what we prepared now. Then after that, I want to get bean object. What is that bean object here? We have to get there welcome bean. Right, sir. Next one is context dot get bean method is existed. There we have to provide logical name. What's that logical name there? No, that means ID value is what there? Welcome bean. That we are getting, but still we are getting an error. Get bean method will return bean object in the form of object type, but we have to be cast to welcome bean. Typecasting is required. So typecasted here. Whenever we typecasted here, the next one is like what there? String str is equal to welcome bean dot welcome method here we have to call. Whenever we are getting welcome method, now sysnot outer println of str. I want to display this str now. Sysnot outer println of str. That what we are preparing now. Now here we have to execute this program. To execute this program here, what we have to do now? That directly we can click on this run button here. If we click on run button, automatically here we have to get some output. What's that output here we are getting there now? Welcome to Spring application. That's it now. This is that overall process here what we are having. Guys, all of you are getting clarity or not? Okay, now observe this. Program is ready. Program is completed. We are getting some output also. But what happened internally? What exactly the content is going on internally? How that overall work is going on internally? That I want to discuss with you clearly. Try to understand this now. This flow of execution is also important for us today. I want to write some short related code now. Application context is equal to, then what we have to do there, new class path XML application context that I've written. Okay, this is code. Next one is what there after completion of this. This is one thing. Now we need to get welcome bean is equal to AC dot get a bean something else web b. I provided. That's okay. Getting that bean object is important for us. Now here we have to understand this is a Spring configuration file. Spring config.xml. Which file is existed here? No, Spring config.xml. Then where what we have there? Beans slash beans. Here we have to provide bean ID is equal to welcome bean. Class is equal to fully qualified name of the welcome bean. Here we have to provide com dot Durgasoft dot beans dot welcome bean. Okay, this is Spring configuration file. Right, sir. First of all, now tell me who will execute the Java code now? And one more thing, wait for this. Here we are able to have the class. What is this class here actually? Class welcome bean. public string welcome, return welcome. Right, so now this is exactly the code what we are having. Welcome bean. Okay, right, sir. Now tell me, who will execute this coding part? Actually, JVM will execute this total code or not? Our test application would be executed by JVM. Okay. When JVM execute this particular instruction, when JVM is executing this particular instruction, then immediately what happened there? Application context S is equal to new class path XML application context. Immediately application context will be created. Container will be created. Now this is exactly like what there application context container. Application context container, it will be created. Then what is the job of this container? No, container will go to spring-context.xml. Container will go to spring-config.xml. Okay, where it will search for spring-config.xml. If it is available, it will perform loading Spring configuration file to the memory, parsing that Spring configuration file, and reading the content of the Spring configuration file. Now, how many bean classes are configured here? Container, application context container will take all the classes names from the bean configurations. It will recognize all the classes. Then bean classes objects will be created. Bean classes objects are created by this application context. Right? How many bean objects are created here? No, here only one bean object is created. Why? Because we created only one bean object. So we can observe carefully after completion of this particular one, what it is creating there. Simply it is creating a bean object. Which bean object is created here? No, welcome bean object will be created. This bean object is created by container. Where container will create that bean object, we can observe carefully. This is a container. Which container it is? No, like application context container. Inside this application context container, which object will be provided here? No, bean object. What is the name of this bean object, guys? Now tell me. The name of the bean object is like what there? Welcome bean. This is welcome bean, but this welcome bean is referred by WB. For example, welcome bean is a logical name. Inside this application container, application context container, that welcome bean object is referred with WB. That's okay. This is going to be happen when we execute this application context AC is equal to new class path XML application context. Tell me guys, what it is going to be happen when JVM execute this instruction? Automatically, who will be prepared here? Who will be created? Application context container will create. What this application context container will do? Application context container will take XML file name and location. It will go there. When it identify this, then application context container will load this XML content to the memory, parse that XML content. After that, reading all the bean tags configurations and creating bean objects with respect to this bean tags information there, and the bean objects are maintained by this application context container along with its ID attribute value. That's the logical name of this particular one. Here, this is logical name and this is what their bean object. So bean object is created. When this bean object is created, after this bean object is created, then what next instruction here we are doing there? Now tell me. WB is equal to AC dot get bean of method. That means we are requesting to the application context to allow WB object to allow what their WB object. Then immediately this request will come to what their application context container. This request will come to what their application context container. Now application context container, what it will do actually, application context container will go inside the application context container will go inside the application context, then where it will search for welcome bean object on the base of WB. Now WB is identified or not? Yes, here it is identified. When it is identified, immediately that bean object will be given to the what there to the container. Bean object must be created. Bean object is existed here. Then container will bring that bean object back to JVM. IOC container will send that bean object to the JVM. Okay. Now here inside this, now this is like what their bean object. Bean object is available. Then what is that bean object actually? Welcome bean object is existed here. Now application context will keep that bean object to like what they know. Application context will keep that bean object to AC. Sorry, not here. 1 minute. Everything is okay. Now here, application context will send that bean object to whom there no welcome bean reference variable which is available inside our application. Okay, now this is welcome bean object. Now that will be submitted to WB. WB is what they know reference variable for this bean. Now inside this what we are having there now welcome method is existed. Business method is existed here now. Okay, here it is existed. Whenever we are getting this welcome bean, then what next one here? Finally we are getting this welcome bean or not? Whenever we are getting welcome bean, then directly we can access that welcome bean. How we are able to access this welcome bean? System.out.println of welcome bean dot system.out.println of right sir. Now here system.out.println of welcome bean WB dot welcome method here we have to call system.out.println of WB dot welcome method here we have to call. Whenever we are calling this method, then whatever the implementation we provided, that will be executed. This is the total flow of execution here we can understand now. Again guys, now 2 minutes after I will explain this total part. Try to understand this clearly. Very simple. First application if you understand, second things are very simple now. First of all, anyway, this is my test application. This is bring a configuration file. Now this is my bean class. Everything is okay. Now here, when JVM execute this application context AC is equal to new class path XML application context with the name and location of the configuration file. When it is executed, no, when JVM executed this, application context container will be activated. Then it will take that configuration file name and location from this class path, new class path XML application context. Then it will search for the respective Spring configuration file at the specified location. If it is available, then application context will load this XML content to the memory, will parse this XML content to the memory. Then after parsing that, it will recognize all the bean tags inside the beans tag. All the bean tags are identified where names are like what there. Then com.durgasoft.beans.app02.beans. That what we are getting. When it identifies this bean class name there, then immediately that application context will search for welcome beans.class file, welcome bean.class file in the respective application where it is available. Whenever this welcome bean.class file is available, immediately application context will load this bean class to the memory. Application context will load this bean class to the memory. After loading that, creating object for the respective bean class. Okay, welcome bean object is created. Then that object will be managed by application context in its container along with the ID attribute value. What is that ID attribute value? You know WB. Bean class name is welcome bean. Welcome bean object is created along with the ID attribute. What is this ID attribute? Actually WB. Welcome bean. Whenever we are getting this container object where this object is stored with the ID attribute value, Next, in our application, what we are trying to get there, we are trying to get the bean object. So up to that, the work of the application context. When application context is started, all bean objects are created, all the bean objects are stored inside the container. That part was completed. Now I need to get that bean object from the container. To get that bean object from the container, what we have to do now, welcome bean WB is equal to, what is this AC actually? Application context. Application context dot get a bean of WB. Get a bean of what? No, WB. Now already AC dot get bean of WB in the sense like what there, this is a application context container. Inside these, that bean object is associated with what they know, WB. Then we are submitting request to the application context about to get a bean object on the base of the logical name, that is WB. So bean object is generated. Whatever the bean object is taken by application context container, that bean object will be given to the respective variable, written to the respective variable inside our test application. That variable is what? No, like a WB. So that WB is having welcome method. Welcome method is available inside the object which is referred by WB. So here welcome method is existed. Okay, whenever we are executing, whenever we are getting this bean object, then we have to access that method on the base of the same reference. WB dot welcome method, if we call now, automatically that business method will be executed. A required response will be generated in our Spring application. That output here we are able to see clearly. Guys, now this is exactly the application here what we prepared now. Spring application about like what there, very first application what we prepared now. All right, sir. Now here I want to show some proofs. I want to show some proofs now in this case now. Now I'm asking one question there. Now tell me, when a bean object is created by application context, is that at the time of creating application context object, or when we access the bean, then bean object is created? At what time bean object is created? Are getting my question there? For example, this is about our question. Here with this instruction, we are creating application context object or not? With this application context is equal to new class path XML application context com slash Durgasoft slash something else, name and location of the bean configuration file we provided, where our welcome bean object is created at the time of creating this container or at the time of calling this get bean method. When a bean object is getting created inside the Spring application, at the time of creating container or at the time of calling get bean method, when application context object will be created. Okay, right, sir. Now already I given information for it, but you are not catching my point. Observe this diagram here. When a bean object is created, just follow red lines. If we follow red lines here, easily we can understand. JVM is requesting the JVM is creating application context. At the time of creating application context only, it will load this XML document. It will read all the things. Then it will create bean object. That bean object is maintained by application context now. That means that bean objects are created at the time of application context creation or not? At the time of creating application context only. At the time of creating application context only, all bean objects are created in this case now. All right, sir. This is the scenario. Let me prove it. Let me prove it. Just I want to prepare some logs. What logs here I want to prepare there? Observe carefully. Cessna doubted println of before container creation. Next one is like what there? Cessna doubted println of after container creation. Am I right or not? Okay. Next one is Cessna doubted println of before accessing get bean method. Next one is Cessna doubted println of Cessna doubted println of after accessing get bean method. Like this, I prepared some logs. Here we have the doubt at the time of creating application context or when we call get bean method. At what time this bean object is created? That's my question now. Now, inside this welcome bean, I want to take a constructor. Public welcome bean system.out.println of welcome bean instantiation. Right, sir. Now, if I run this program, by seeing the logs, we can understand easily at what time it is created there. What we are getting the information there? Before creating container, before container creation, after container creation, in between these two only, we are getting welcome bean initialization. Not in between, before accessing get bean, after accessing get bean, not before, not in between these two. Before container creation and after container creation, two things are existed. In between these two things only, we are getting like what there? Welcome bean initialization. So what's the meaning of it now? At the time of creating application context object or at the time of calling get bean method. Tell me, you have to identify the situation when it was created. At the time of creating application context object only, not at the time of calling get bean method. See, if it is created at the time of calling get bean method, here we have to get the output like what? No, before accessing get bean and after accessing get bean. Between these two, we have to get bean object instantiation. But we are getting bean object instantiation after before container creation and before after creating container. Right, sir. In between before and after container creation, between that only we are getting this output in the sense at the time of creating application context only bean objects are created. Yes, sir. Got my point or not? Okay, this is one point here we can understand clearly. So finally, the point is what? If we use application context object, if we use in our Spring applications, it will create all the bean objects which we configured in Spring configuration file at the time of its creation only. As part of creating application context will create all the bean objects and it able to keep all the bean objects into the respective application context container. Right, sir. Now, this is what exactly the way to prepare like what now application clearly. Yes, all of you are getting clarity this point here now. Next one after that. Next one is understand this point clearly. Welcome bean. Welcome to Spring application. Instead of this, I want to change now. Welcome to say for example Durga software or else maybe welcome to Durga software. Welcome to Durga software solutions. And this information here we provided, that's okay. But in the same application, I want to prepare one more bean. Up to now in a single application, I prepared only one bean, but I want to prepare one more bean. I want to prepare. Possible or not possible? Do you have any limitation on number of beans in Spring application? No limitations available. As per our requirement, we can create any number of beans now. Now tell me, if I want to create one more bean here, then what we have to do there? Now tell me, what exactly the work here we have to do there? First of all, we have to go for, right, sir. Now, where is that beans now? Here we need to right click on it. New. Inside this, we have to go for like what there? New. Next one is here, we have to select a class. Inside this class, what we have to provide there? Something else, a hello. Hello bean is a class here I want to prepare. Okay, everything is okay. Now click on like what there? Finish button. Now hello bean is created now. Inside this hello bean, what I want to do there, I want to take a business method. What is that business method there? Public string, say for example, hello method. Inside this, just I want to return hello user. I want to provide this. Okay. Now here also I want to check when it is going to be created. No, I want to check like what there public hello bean constructor here I want to prepare. Now inside this I'll go for sys.out.println of hello bean instantiation. Hello bean instantiation that I want to prepare. This is for the sake of my clarity purpose. Okay, fine. Hello bean is ready or not? Hello bean class is ready. But preparing class is not sufficient to create an object for this particular class in Spring Framework. Then what we have to do, if you want to create object for this particular class, IOC container must create that. That means application context will create that object. So if you want to create an object for this class by application context, then what we have to do? What we have to do? We have to configure this class inside the Spring configuration file or not? We have to configure this one in the Spring configuration file. So here we have to open Spring config.xml. Inside this Spring config.xml, then what we have to do there? Here we have to take another bean tag. Here we have to take like what? Another bean tag. There we have to provide like what there? ID. ID is equal to. Now here I want to provide like what there? Hello bean. Then what is this class actually? Fully qualified name of the respective bean class. What is this fully qualified name? com dot Durgasoft dot abb02 dot beans dot what we have to provide there? Hello bean that we have provided. Save it. Okay, then after that com dot Durgasoft dot abb02 dot beans dot hello bean. Same thing. Next one is hello bean and welcome bean. That's okay, fine. Configuration is okay. Now in the test application, what we have to do there? Now here we access which method here now? Welcome bean dot welcome. That method here we are getting there. Okay, we understood that. Next one is like what there? I want to get welcome bean. That means hello bean object also here I want to get. If you want to get this hello bean object, then what we have to do there? First of all, hello bean. Now tell me, for the sake of this second bean object, is there any requirement to create application context object once again? Only one application context is sufficient, or for each and every bean a separate application context? Only one container. One container is sufficient to accommodate any number of bean objects now. Right, sir? Now here, hello bean is equal to, then what we have to do there? Context dot, what's that method here we have to use there? Get bean method here we have to use. Now inside this, what we have to write there? ID attribute value. What is that ID attribute value? Now tell me, hello bean is an ID attribute value or not? Then better to copy this. Hello bean is an ID attribute value. That exact syntax is, that means exact values must be matched here now. Hello bean here we provide it. Now here, get bean method will return the bean object in the form of object type. But I want to get that bean object in the form of what they know? Hello bean. So what we have to do now? What we have to do? We need to perform typecasting or not? Definitely here we have to perform like what they know? Typecasting. Add cast to hello bean. Now with the typecasting here we are getting there. Then after that, whenever we are getting this, and string message is equal to tell me here what we have to provide there? Hello bean dot hello method. Hello bean dot hello method. All right, sir. Automatically some message here we are getting. That message value here I want display MSG. That's it. Now tell me again. I'm asking to you. Whenever we are creating application context object, Spring configuration file will be loaded. Data of the Spring configuration file will be taken. Inside these two beans are configured, not single bean. Both the beans classes are loaded and objects are created. That objects are managed by application context object on the basis of their ID attribute values. This is going on whenever we created application context object. Okay. If it is a case no, when I execute this program, we need to get welcome bean instantiation and hello bean instantiation at the time of creating application context. That means that is in between before container creation and after container creation. In between these two, we need to get that objects instantiation, both the objects. Remaining part will be same. Okay, now let us execute this program here. Observe carefully. Let me run this example. What output we are getting there? Observe carefully. Now see this output here. What we are getting now? Before container creation, after container creation. In between these two only, how many beans are created here? No, welcome bean and hello bean. Both the beans are created between these two or not? Okay, both the beans are created here. Next one is before accessing bean, after accessing bean method here we call there. Then anyway, welcome to Durgasoft here we are getting. Other one is like what there? Hello user. This is a welcome to Durgasoft solutions we are getting from welcome bean, and a hello user value we are getting from what they know hello bean. So both the bean objects here we are getting clearly. Right, so now this is what exactly the application here we are able to utilize. We are able to understand about this first application, how to prepare first application to create bean objects, how to manage that bean objects in the form of container, how to access these bean objects from the application context container. All the points here we understood clearly. Okay, the internal flow of executions are also be completed. Then tomorrow I will give the information to you like tomorrow how to pass data to the business methods, how to pass data to the business methods. Hello method is available. To this I want to pass some data, some arguments I want to provide. How we are able to provide arguments now. Then after that, after completion of this, how to prepare the applications in IntelliJ IDE also we are going to see. Now we have seen Eclipse IDE at present. Next we will go for IntelliJ IDE. Before that, I need to prepare one more program by creating library, Spring library. User defined library I want to create in Eclipse IDE. Through that I will show one example. After that I will show one example with the IntelliJ IDEA. How to work with that IntelliJ IDEA also parallelly we are going to see that clearly now. Right? Okay guys, that's all for today, and tomorrow we'll see the remaining content. Thank you. Yeah, Abhishek, that priorities and everything we are able to provide, but later on I will discuss with you. In a spring bean life cycles I will discuss with you. Yes, we can do that. Why we need downcasting now, Nikita? Context.getBean method, yeah, context.getBean method is returning every bean object in the form of object type. In the form of object type only we are able to get the total data. In the form of object type only we are getting. But actually object type we are getting, we are unable to access the methods. So we need to get that object, bean object in the form of object that we have to be converted to bean object. Then only we are able to access the method. Otherwise we are not unable to access the method. Okay. Nikita, understand it clearly. Get bean method will return allow bean object in the form of object type. So, but if you want to access any method, we have to convert that hello bean object from object type to hello bean. That's why we are doing this. Exactly, Melvin. Yeah, Melvin, just that objects are created. That's it. Whether we are using them or not, secondary. But IOC container will check, will look Spring configuration well, and it will create the object. If you are using them, it's okay. If you are not using them, it's a waste of time only. Okay. So for that, we will go for some other requirement. I'll show anyway. That application also will show that. Right, Melvin. Right. Yeah. Thank you guys. Thanks a lot. And tomorrow we'll see the remaining content.